The Lift & Co. Cannabis Expo returns to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, November 18th to the 21st. Discover and learn about all things cannabis. Get your tickets at liftexpo.ca. Must be 19 plus to enter and attend.
And so with the 4th of July that's coming up, I know a lot of fireworks and firecrackers really make dogs uncomfortable. Very stressed out, all kinds of sporadic behavior, hiding under beds, chewing things, just all types. And we have seen incredible stories all the time with people taking, for example, our 800 milligram bacon flavored, and it is vegan, CBD oil. It's a sublingual oil that goes right into the dog's mouth.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we talk about this amazing plant with so many names and how it helps people and dogs in extraordinary ways. Today, it's coming up on the 4th of July. That's on Sunday this year. So when this comes out, I have a couple days left before then. And some of our greatest clients, if not our greatest client, I always say is dogs. Dogs don't have the conscious mind to ask themselves, I wonder if CBD oil is helping. They are very in tune with their body. And if they have pain or inflammation, just like humans, they will put more pressure down when they don't have pain. They won't think about it. They'll just do it. So we'll see a real fast results for a lot of people and their animals that are having struggles with pain and inflammation and anxiety, which are the top two reasons that humans take. And so with the 4th of July that's coming up, I know a lot of fireworks and firecrackers really make dogs uncomfortable. Very stressed out, all kinds of sporadic behavior, hiding under beds, chewing things, just all types. And we have seen incredible stories all the time with people taking, for example, our 800 milligram bacon flavored, and it is vegan, CBD oil. It's a sublingual oil that goes right into the dog's mouth, anything from a half a drop or to a full drop or to even more if they're really, stressed out. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit today and talk about the fact that dogs also have endocannabinoid systems, just like humans, and how CBDa, raw CBD oil, can help them and help your pet get through all the fun that's outside with all the noise. So that's today's topic. Any questions or any input anybody wants to start with? We have Dan the Man here, our co-producer, along with my mom's back as well, Janet Benton Gaillard. And let's get in.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do a deep dive into this because we've always had dogs, and some of them are more affected by 4th of July than others. But the ones that are, you just feel so bad for them because they just don't know what's going on and they're totally stressed. So I'm anxious to hear more about this.
Absolutely. And again, it's the simple fact that all mammals and basically any animal with eyes has an endocannabinoid system. And as we talked about many times on this show, is that endocannabinoid system within our body, especially the CB1 receptors up in the brain mostly, which regulate if anything's out of whack up in the brain. So again, where does anxiety come from? Where does that overwhelm or that stress come from? Is up in the brain with the CB1 receptors. So by giving a dog or human, but in this case we're talking about dogs, by giving them a sublingual oil, not a treat. Because remember, a treat goes through the system, guys, and we get about 5% absorption. And you got to feed them a whole bunch of treats, and it's probably been heated when they. What you want to give them is a sublingual, under the tongue oil, and you want to make sure that you get it right there in their mouth. And because it is a good bacon flavor, most of the dogs actually, I've got 2 labs, 100-pound dogs. They line up for it. We give it to them every night so they can sleep peacefully. They're about 3 years old, and again, it helps get into that CB1 receptors up in the endocannabinoid system. And if the neurotransmitters are firing way too quickly, like popcorn, because of all the fireworks going off, that's going to help bring down the overstimulation in the brain. that whole plant CBDA oil is going to get in there, and it's going to be like, whoa, you're at a 90 degrees on the thermostat. I had you set down at 72 degrees, which is homeostasis, which is balance. And so by taking that sublingual oil, it gets into the brain, it notices the overstimulation from the fireworks, and it brings down the temperature, if you will, or just the anxiety. As we've said before, because the dogs don't have the conscious mind to sit there and question and ask themselves, is the CBD oil working? It's just working. And so you can see very fast results from a dog, especially when it comes to anxiety and those kinds of pain things. Did you have anything you wanted to add there, Bob?
You bet, I do. I research all day, so my head's always full of new thoughts about CBD. And so I totally agree with you about it working with the CB1 receptor, which is part of our endocannabinoid system. And as you mentioned, too, the pets have the same system that we do. And then here again, I have to give a plug for the raw CBD because it's going to go beyond any CBD product you're giving your dog, because the CBDa goes beyond that endocannabinoid system and the CB1 receptor, and it has our famous homeostasis or balance properties. And so it does balance everything in our body, including our neurological systems. And that includes balancing our serotonin levels and with the pets also. And so it just is directly balancing. And so that's even a stronger, more direct method of calming dogs with anxiety. So the CBDA truly makes a difference. It's also, like saying, more bioavailable to pets as well as to us, which means it works more quickly and you do not require doses as much. And then the raw whole plant also works with the whole body much better, dogs or humans, than a more isolated product that our body doesn't quite recognize as like a food or a food-like substance. So I'm very excited about this year too. My daughter has a new half poodle, half Burmese mountain dog puppy, about 7 months old, who's already bounces off the wall, and she's terrified about 4th of July. What are they going to do? You can't explain to your dog that, oh, these are harmless noises that will go away after midnight. And so she is certainly going to be a big consumer of our CBDA this weekend or next weekend.
You say something?
Yeah, I was going to ask just logistically. I know we've had to give your dog a pill or something, and sometimes we grind it up in food, but we don't want to do that in this case because we wanted it under their tongue. So do you just lift up their gum and stick in a tincture, or is it a spray? How does it work?
Well, I'll just jump in. So again, too, another thing different with dogs, by the way, is they have a much quicker digestion system than we do. They used to historically digesting raw rabbits, etc. And so it will work in them actually quite quickly. So the best way to do it, again, to get the effect of the raw whole plant in the tincture, or we call it sublingual oil, or just the oils. A quickest way is if you can get the dropper and then squirt it in the back of their mouth behind their teeth. It's an age-old method moms always use to get their kids bad-tasting antibiotics and things, because then you reflexively swallow, and then you could give them something to drink afterwards. So that works really well. Some people just put it in the front of their mouth. I know Justin's 2 dogs who are literally quivering with excitement whenever I give it to them. They just stick out their tongues, and I can barely squeeze it on their tongues fast enough because they really enjoy it. So that's another way. And then another way I recommend is just, you can even put it on an empty dog dish or plate, and they will lick it up again too. That's getting the full plant process in their mouths without food in the way. And then as a final solution is to put it on some sort of food, just realizing the food's going to be in the way for the quick digestion and implementation of it working in the body. And so those are the main, and some people also put it in the water where it would float and they can drink it back. So I always tell every pet owner, your pet the best way. That's the continuum of directly in the mouth, swallowing in the mouth, on the plate, in the water, in the food. And everybody knows their pet better and what works best with their pet. But that's a recommended continuum of methods to use.
Well, as far as the schedule, Justin, you mentioned that you give your dogs this every day. With the 4th of July coming up, will you increase it on that day, or is it just once you get them on the regular schedule, you don't need to add any more?
And it's a great question. Just like humans and anyone supplementing their endocannabinoid system, which balances all other systems in the body, it's ideal to do it at least 2 or 3 times a day to make sure that your endocannabinoid system is fully supplemented at all times. And so ideally, you would do it in the morning, in the afternoon, or the morning, afternoon, and night, just depending upon what the condition is. Now, for fireworks, we're out here in California, and there's not a lot of crazy fireworks. Like, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's like a war zone from the day they start selling them till a couple of days after the 4th. all day long, every day. So if I lived in Omaha or a place that was just firework crazy, then yes, I would be giving them from the morning when I heard the first one go off, in the afternoon and the evening, keeping them fully supplemented, helping keeping them calm. Just like giving them a doggy massage or taking them to a doggy spa, you're just relaxing your animal. And that's what I would recommend doing. And remember, for me, for my dogs, we were using it only because they were puppies and they were getting up at night, wanting to go to the bathroom at 3 in the morning. And I didn't want to go get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, let them out. So I just help give them some CBD at night so they can sleep throughout the night, which helps them recover. As we all know, sleeping is the best thing you can do for your brain and body. And it's also the best thing I can do for mine. And it was immediate once we did that. So that was the only reason we ever gave it to them. They're young, healthy dogs. If we did have some hot spots on Frosty, who's my yellow, and he was licking his paws and all that kind of stuff, a nervous energy tick. And we have a Raw Renew topical product that we would put on there, and within a couple days it had all healed up. There's just different reasons why you use them. And again, for us, the number one reason that people use our CBD products for their dogs is for pain. So pain is number one. As they get older, their hips and joints. And so we'll see that as a lot. And number two is probably cancer. Believe it or not, we get a lot of people that come in for their dogs for cancer as a last resort or a quality of life thing. And we've heard so many amazing stories because, as we all know, all the research is out, is that whole plant cannabis oil, CBD oil, whatever you want to call it, helps shrink tumors. That's the number two reason. And anxiety, and mostly separation anxiety when you leave your animal at home or if you go on a trip. That's probably number three from what we see. But again, it just depends on the condition and the dog. And that would probably lead into a real logical discussion on how much to give your dog. Did you want to take a shot at that, Janet?
I could. No, but Justin's right in terms of the main reasons doing it being the pain and anxiety. And surprisingly, there's a lot of dogs that are OCD, that their owners. And then, as you mentioned, the older dogs, as they get older, so many people come in now and realize the CBD will be calming for their pet. And so they give it to them as they're getting older so they will die peacefully. But so many come back to report where suddenly they're eating again and they're walking again and they're living longer. So again, too, if you have a pet who's aging, don't hesitate to start giving them the CBD, because just like humans, it's going to help with the inflammation. It's going to help, again, too, Justin mentioned, with cancer. We also had good luck with seizures. And so, again, too, dogs are so much like us in terms of what goes wrong. And again, too, we resolve the same way. I must admit that dosing isn't my strongest suit in terms of this. There's a lot of formulas out there, like 1 drop per pound and different types of approaches. I still stick with the overall start low and go slow with dogs. And just in actually buying our product, you start out with a 400 milligram bottle of CBD for dogs like under 25 to 20 pounds. And then over that, you switch to the 800. And so some people, we talk about just drops. If you have a very small pet, like under 10 or 15 pounds, you'd start out literally just with 2 to 3 drops to get started. And in most cases, dogs are like humans. There's no one magical formula like with aspirin. Everybody take 2 every 4 hours. Just with differing metabolisms and different issues in the body, it has a different level of product. But again, too, just always keep in mind, if you have a very small dog, start very low. And if you have a dog under like 15 pounds, you start out in terms of drops. And so start out between 2 to 3, up to 5, and then increase until you see some results that you're looking for. I've read so many different rules from so many different doctors and websites and everything that it's hard to come up with one that's true for everybody. But I would also caution people, too, when you're taking CBD, and especially in a small cat or a small pet, you do start low. And I had one person who was trying to give their tiny cat like the same dose they were taking. And it's like, no, that's quite dangerous. Do not do that. Your cat weighs like 8 pounds. And you, ma'am, weigh about 250. So anyway, yeah, you have to be very careful to start low and go slow. I know like Justin's 100-pound dogs, then they can easily handle a full dropper of the 800, which is about a little over 20 milligrams. So we have come up with a chart for humans of all their exact levels per half dropper and full dropper. So I think I'm going to have to come up with one for pets just to clarify it for myself and for everybody out there.
Yeah, and it is just one of those things where, and if you do give your small animal a bunch of CBD oil, it's just the chances, number one, you're wasting money. Number two, there's a chance that they would be taking a nap because If you take a bunch of CBD, like a ton of CBD, it will help your body get what your body wants. And in many cases, if you're not sleeping well, which 60 million Americans are, then you might just, body says, oh, cool, I've got a fully supplemented endocannabinoid system. What a great time to repair all the other things that aren't working. Let's take a little snooze. And we'll see that even with people that come to us, and the first time anyone ever takes a real whole plant, like the real deal, like what we offer, I always say the first time you take it, I would just take it at home, just in case, because if you're not sleeping like 1 out of 5 Americans, then there is a good chance that you might get yourself one of the best 2-hour power naps you've ever got in your life. And again, a lot of people will come to us for pain and anxiety at the top. And then the side effect, which we used to get that question all the time. We don't get it anymore. So what are the side effects? And first of all, it's a plant. So as long as you don't have side effects to broccoli, which also has CBD, you're going to be okay. But the positive side effect for people that come back and order the product, because again, we have retail stores and we interact with our clients, says, well, I'm sleeping better than I have in 20 years. So that's always something to keep in mind. Another thing that I'm glad you brought up is seizures. That's in our top 5 for sure for pets. And again, if it wasn't for the great work that Dr. Raphael Mechoulam did in the 1970s with children and seizures and epilepsy, which he told the whole world about again in 2019 at CanMed in Pasadena, which is also coming up again this September. Anybody who wants to make it out to Pasadena, Dr. Ethan Russo will be the keynote speaker. And when he came out, he was like, again, I did this research showing 100% correlation between children with seizures and the reduction or the elimination of seizures. And I published that in a peer-reviewed article in the 70s. And he sat on stage after getting his rock star ovation like Mick Jagger, which was so cool because so many of us are grateful to him and all that he's done to get this word out about this amazing plant. But after his standing ovation, he talked about this research that he did and admonished the medical community and the healthcare community that did not pick up on it, and that it took 40 years later for us to actually start to make headway, which again, a big moment was Charlotte Figi and her mom, Paige, and the Dr. Sanjay Gupta CNN report in 2013, which led to the passing of the 2014 Farm Bill, which was the pilot, which allowed us to start doing pilot programs with growing hemp, which is about the same time my son had his neurological issues. So that was a perfect timing for us. And then the passing of the 2018 Farm Bill made it explicitly clear and federally legal in all 50 states. So the reason I bring that up is if it wasn't for seizures and epilepsy and the fact that it was so clearly evident that this was helping with humans and animals and dogs, then there's no chance we would be where we are right now. And that's what really started to win the hearts and minds of legislators and people that were conditioned to believe that this plant was evil, that the medical documentation, you talk about words like medical marijuana, which I don't like to use that, but the true medical benefits became crystal clear once we started to see these incredible stories come out about seizures was really the one that was the tipping point. So I'm glad you brought that up with the animals for your as well. And again, it's just black and white, right? It's like my dog was having seizures at night or whenever, and now I'm taking their CBD oil and they're not, or they've been reduced. And there's other things that you can do as well. And it comes with, what are you feeding your dog, right? We are what we eat. What kind of water are you giving your dog? I know a lot of dog owners might not think about that. They might think, oh, it's just a dog. I'll give them the tap water out back in the garden hose. I question you if you love your dog, and I'm sure you do, everyone. Do a little homework on the city water, and I don't think you'll be giving it to your dog anymore when you see the levels of heavy metals, fluoride, chlorine, all kinds of things that you wouldn't feed to a loved one. And we all know, like, dogs are definitely a part of the family. So it's always a holistic approach.
This is the sound cannabis companies hear when they try to place an ad on Facebook, Twitter, or Google. The tech overlords' arbitrary discrimination against our industry is unfair. But until they change their restraint of trade policies, we need an alternative way to share our message with our customers. Cannabis podcasts are one of the last advertising platforms not controlled by tech monopolies. And for as low as $9.99 a week, cannabis companies have the freedom to play their uncensored commercials to customers around the world. Don't let tech bosses dictate how you run your business. Go to PodCONX.com. That's PodCONX.com. And for just $9.99 per week, you can go from this to this.
Is there any other questions or comments you guys want to be? We're also here on Clubhouse, 10 a.m. Pacific every Saturday. There's some people out here in the audience. If you want to and ask your question, please feel free to. It looks like Tara's here. And let's see if she's got a question or something to add with today's topic.
Hi, can you hear me?
You bet. How you doing, LaTara?
Hi, good morning. Hi, everybody. Hi, Justin, Dan, and Janet. Glad to be here as always. I really love the topic, if CBD will help your dog on July, because I do know some dog owners. I actually don't have a dog myself, but I do know some dog owners. And as a person that's all in for cannabis and healing in holistic ways, I actually had this conversation with my goddaughter the other week, maybe like last week, if not the week before, with regards to her dog and trying CBD. And we had the conversation about the type of water that her dog drinks, because she was saying how he likes to just go to the toilet and just lick up some water out the toilet, even though she'll put water in his bowl for him to drink. And I was telling her, you should really pay attention to the type of water that your dog is consuming, because there's different chemicals and bacteria and things in water. So you want to be careful, just like how we, us humans, are careful with what we put inside our body. So I really love the topic. I really think it's really good. I think we should really talk about this again another day too, just so people are aware about their pets. And then also giving them the CBD to help keep them calm on the 4th. Those fireworks are really loud. They scare them. And I wish I could pass out some samples to all the pet owners in my community and let them know, hey, on the 4th of July, you should go ahead and give this to your dog so they won't be acting all crazy. Because that's something that I always hear in the community. If I'm like in the grocery store or the library or walking somewhere, on the 4th of July, those fireworks were driving my dog crazy. And it was just not having a good night. And then they just kept going and popping and my dog was just howling. This is really good. I just think that we just need to keep spreading awareness, about this. So I did go ahead and tag you guys and shared it on my social media. Just people are aware. I've learned that people have to see things a few times before it actually sinks in that this is an issue. So that's why I said we'll probably have this topic again and speak about this again, because people just have to just keep seeing it and keep seeing it. Things are changing every day in the cannabis industry. People are starting to become more aware, but we just got to keep sharing. That's just like my in it. I'm done.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on as always. We love having you as a brand ambassador and being an advocate for this miracle plant. And again, like you said, water is so important. Make sure you're getting the best water for yourself, your family, which also includes your pets. Anybody that wants to use the CBD oil for their pets, the best thing you can do is go to 101cbd.org and sign up for our email. Just get on our email list, and we will always have great promotions. Again, we're a .org. We're here to pay it forward, what this miracle plant did for our family. So we're discounting it as much as we can, as often as we can, so people can use this product and pass it on. So sign up for the email list. I'm sure we'll have some type of promotion coming out specifically for the bacon-flavored CBD for your pet. And we look forward to hearing your story, getting reviews, so other dog owners out there, because there's a lot of CBD out there. There's a lot of confusion out there. And at the end of the day, we know this miracle plant can help. People just need to understand it a little bit more, be exposed to it a little bit more, and they just need a good recommendation of a great product that represents them in its pure, true form. So that's what I would recommend for that. Before we wrap up, Dan, Janet, any final comments?
Yeah, I know we only have a few days before the 4th of July. And if they were to buy it now, do you think they'd have it in time, or are there some other places where they may be able to get it for their...
Well, good question. We do have a lot of retail stores that carry our CBD. Our footprint is really out here in California and the Rockies and the West Coast. But we have great shipping. People love our shipping. We're so focused on getting the product out as quick as you can possibly imagine. We've got a great team that makes sure that we do such a thing. So if you do get that email, which will probably come out sometime around Wednesday or Tuesday, which would be this podcast coming out. If you're listening to it on the 30th of June, go get signed up on our email list. And you can always reach out to us by phone or by email. to see if there's something local in your neighborhood that you can get it, or if you can place an order over the phone or even by email about, I really want it. And the 4th is on Sunday, so that extra we deliver by USPS, the post office. And they've gotten back to pretty much normal again. So if you order something on a Wednesday or a Thursday, there's a 90+% chance you'll get that product by Saturday or Friday even, because people start to ramp up, obviously, around the 3rd. But really the 4th is when it gets all crazy. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. Thanks. Janet, do you have final comments?
You betcha. I have to save them all up. No, I agree with everything we've been saying today, and it is so important to get that word out to pet owners. There's just so many people that don't realize, A, that there's a difference between marijuana and hemp even, and then don't realize that their dogs also can benefit from it the same way as people do. And so the anxiety, like you say, is huge for the 4th of July, but it also keep in mind that it is a very strong anti-inflammatory. It neurologically helps your pet, like we talked about with seizures. It literally can repair and regenerate nerves and neurons, which is why it helps with seizures and why it helps with autism. It's our first cause. And so all the different problems of aging that also happen to adults also happen to dogs. So always keep in mind it's a strong anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and can repair their nerves. And again, too, can balance everything, including serotonin levels, which is our mood. And so it works great for people and it works fantastic for dogs. And so it'd be wonderful to get that word out. So many pet owners, quite early, in fact, have to sometimes put their dogs to sleep just because they don't realize there's options out there. So the 4th of July is a bright, exciting time or whatever that you can definitely see the need. But just for pet owners, keep in mind that CBDa is an excellent addition to your dog's life throughout the year.
Absolutely. I hope you got a chance to learn something today and show this podcast resonated with you. All I would ask you to do is to forward it along to a friend or another pet owner, or give us a review on Apple. It means the world to us so other people can find us and we get into the algorithm. Again, this miracle plant was the answer to our prayers for my son, who was struggling with a severe neurological regressive. And once our prayers were answered after for years of looking for hope and for something that would solve the problem, it became our mission, our life's work, to pay it forward by having this platform that Dan, the man here, helped produce and give us PodCONX. And I know you have another podcast that you just launched, Dan. Did you want to say something about that real quick?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, we're doing a podcast about cannabis and hemp and CBD podcast, actually. So if you're searching for a show and you want to get a preview of the show before you start listening, jump on. It's called Podcasters. Actually, Justin was featured last week, so it's a good way for you to preview a show without having to subscribe to it and see if it's the show that you want to listen to. So thanks for letting us promote that, Justin.
Oh, you bet. Well, I'm always just so grateful for all that you've done to give us, all of us in this space, a platform when it's a little difficult right now to reach the mass audience. But yeah, just so appreciative of all your hard work that you've meant to this plant and giving us a voice. So at the end of every call, we wrap up by saying heal the world on the count of 3, because that is our mission here at 101cbd.org, at themiracleplant.org, at 101hemp.org. Lots of .orgs out there.
Yep.
And so we are on a mission, pay it forward, to educate. We are on a mission to reach 1 billion people, whether it be by videos, education, seeds, products, whatever it may be, to help empower people to take back control of their health. So on the count of 3, we say heal the world. So the people out there that are looking for a miracle, that are looking for a solution, that they might find us and that energy might catch them and all that good stuff. So on the count of 3, unmute your mics and let's say heal the world and wrap this bad boy up. 1, 3.
Heal the world!
All right, thanks for popping into the Miracle Plant podcast. We will see you next week. It'll be live on Clubhouse at 10 a.m. Pacific. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of your pets, everybody. Have a great 4th and a safe 4th. Take care.